praise. So if anything is going good, anything's going well, we should always remember that there's somebody who deserves that glory, and we should always deflect that glory to him, because he didn't create us to contain glory. He created us and wired us to always deflect glory back to him. All right? So, and if you know what I'm talking about the Almighty God, the creator of everything. Okay, so now when I suddenly was infected by this illness or sickness called the typhoid fever from nowhere. I had not heard about that before. And I thought it was just a joke, But this illness was long and protracted, and it was like off and on. If I am up today, I go to school today, like 3 days I'll miss school. You understand? The next 3 days I'm missing school. And it was on like for a whole year, such that I missed the whole of that year in school. And you know how it is in Nigeria.
Serious.
Yes, if you do not pass, you have to repeat that year. You know how that works, And because I was always missing, I couldn't catch up, so I had to repeat that year. And that deflated all my self-esteem, self-praise, all my ego and everything was dressed down totally. And then I was reduced back to nothing, Well, sometimes, God has a way of getting your attention, just to make sure you are doing what he created you to do. Now, the thing might not be a pleasant one. For me, it wasn't a pleasant one, but that really dressed me down properly, up to the... because even when I'm up and I'm playing with my friend, I know once it is towards afternoon, I have to withdraw back home, because I know at a certain time where the sickness are coming, and people all gave me a name, like something like sickler, that kind of thing, and you see, one thing about life is that people are quick to tagging people, by what they see now, not knowing what is in the big picture. All right. Now, for instance, I'll give you an instance. For instance, the prodigal son. Okay, we call him prodigal. He wasn't called prodigal in the Bible. It was just a story of a child who left home and came back home, and the father, restored him back home. So if we always look at the big picture, then we will not be quick to tag or to judge people. So, but at that point, it was so serious and terrible for me that that one certain afternoon like that, just lay down, and I was shivering, and my temperature was hot at the same time, and I prayed for the first time. I prayed a very personal and passionate prayer. I've never prayed like that. When we're in church, those religious prayer, everybody let's pray. Yeah, I always did that. But this time around, I prayed one-to-one, as if I was face-to-face with God. I said, God, if only you can restore my health, this time I'm going to praise you for the rest of my life. And that's all I could remember. And shortly after then, it was a blackout. I passed out.
After you prayed, you passed out.
You passed out. I think that was the answer to the prayer. Again, sometimes you pray in a certain way, and the answer comes looking like the opposite. No, it's still in process. You need to understand the big picture. So I passed out after that prayer, and it was a dark moment. I can't say specifically what transpired, but when I woke up at about 3 days later, I was told I've been there for about 3 days, and let's just thank God and all. So, but reconciling myself back to that prayer and the way I was now living my life afterwards, it then became clearer and clearer to me that God actually must have brought me back for a purpose. And that purpose was that simple prayer that I prayed, because he actually require or desire my kind of praise on earth. And that's why he wouldn't allow me to stay over there and brought me back from planet Earth. If you look at it, the case of Paul the Apostle, for instance, on his way to Damascus, Jesus saw his passion, the way he was persecuting the Christians. And I'm like, okay, I need this passion for you to use to preach my gospel. And you saw how much exploit he did in his days.
Yes.
So that tells you that when you see somebody doing something passionately wrongly, don't judge them as well. They might be on a journey as well, so don't even pray fire prayer on them, thinking that they are enemies. God is still in need of them. It's just a journey that is that is just going to unfold afterward. So, so after I came on, I, saw myself getting deeply into the music thing, writing songs in praise of God, leading worship, playing, arranging music, concert, producing music, and all of that. And I'm doing that passionately and with every fiber of my being up till this moment, because I understand that this is the reason why I came back to planet Earth. So if you see me do what I do, then you'll now understand my story. Because sometimes if you don't understand somebody's story, you cannot appreciate their song. And that's why that says, this is my story and this is my song. If you can understand my story, then you can appreciate my song. If you can know my pain, then you will understand my praise. Or the way I pray God. Okay, so I think, that's
Praise God. Praise God. An amazing testimony.
Yes.
So knowing that God's purpose for you was along the line of music, what sort of things did you begin to develop yourself? Because it's an assumption on the part of some people that just because you have a natural gifting, there's no work to be done. But by the time you speak to a lot of people who have one form of skill on the other and have developed it up to a point of excellence, there's been an investment, in terms of development. So I'd like to know, what did you do to begin to then develop your gift?
Okay, shortly after that event, like I said, I was passionately developing myself, just self-taught at that point in time. But I had to also proceed to go study music, because I knew that is all I am to be doing.
So you
and even
actually
that
undertook formal education to study music?
Yes, I had a degree in performing arts. Yeah, my first degree was in performing arts, and I went there because of music. So, but along the line, I did drama and dance. Okay, and that's why up to today I'm still involved in theatrical performances here and there. Okay, so that again too was an amazing testimony, because my parents would actually have me do something else. They didn't like the idea of the music.
Yes, I was going to ask about that, because not many, ethnic sort of families would like the idea of when there's medicine, when there's accounting, there's engineering, there's why do music. So how did you, what was their reaction and how did you handle that?
Oh, well, their reaction was, no way, I can't do that. In fact, my mom said specifically that he has not given birth to a child that will be a musician, that maybe in future, if God blesses her with another, maybe she might consider that. And that was, for me, it was like a total, difficult situation, because this is what I'm passionate about. And look at their reaction, totally different. Yeah.
So what did you do?
So, and I'm like, God, how am I going to be able to do this? But at some point, I decided to rationalize. You see, sometimes you try to want to go your own way, but the Bible says many are the plans of men, but the counsel of God always prevails. So I tried to say, okay, what other course do I love? I said, okay, I love economics, and so I started putting in for admission for economics, but lo and behold, I couldn't get that admission. I'm sure God doesn't want me to go that way, but really deep down, even sincerely, if you ask me, I really do not have flesh for figures. So it could have been a horrible thing to gain an admission to study economics. Economics has its own statistics aspect, but I love the other aspect of it, the kind of humanistic part of it, you understand?
Yeah, okay.
But when it comes to the statistics part, then it's going to be horrible for me, because I didn't have flair for figures at all. So it could have been a rigor for me. And that is to young people. You see, your tertiary education, like your uni, your college, is not supposed to be a rigor. At that point in time, you should look at areas where your strength lies and be there, and then you can be able to flow normally as you are in Eden. I'm sure you've listened to that track, Eden. Okay, so so what happened was I couldn't get that admission. I tried for 4 years, I couldn't get it, so I was actually doing housemanship.
4 good years.
With that for 4 years. So I used to say jokingly that I did 4 years housemanship without being a doctor. You know, doctors do housemanship. You know, so but at the 4th year, it was very significant. We had a camp meeting that year, and the theme was "Arise, Shine, for now is your time." I knew that there was something in this camp meeting for me, and the guest preacher that was brought that year, he said it categorically that if God has, in fact, he said that word that I just mentioned now, that your university education is not supposed to be a rigor. Go for what you are good at. If God has called you to go and study Yoruba, go for it. Those were his words. The next one was, if God has called you to study keyboard, those were his words. Go for it. And the whole church turned to me because they knew that this is what I want to do, but my parents would not have me do them. You understand? Will not have me do it. And I was just stuck in the middle. They look at me and say, "That's for you." I say, "I know. I don't need any angel to confirm it."
Were your parents there during this meeting?
No, they were not in that church. Because I had to leave my parents' church because my parents' church was a bit unflexible with contemporary music, you know, and because I have a future, you understand, so I decided to move. Although that was not an easy thing, but maybe a story for another day, you know. So, but at the end of the day, I was able to get out to the where I know I can improve and go, and that will be heading me where I want to go in life musically. So they were not there at that particular time. So I took on that word, and that year I'd already put in for admission, but for economics again. So I decided to tell somebody who coincidentally, or as God will have it, is now my wife. Okay, so she was studying in that school, University of Ilorin at that time. Yeah. So she just told me that she found a course there that has music in it, performing art, that if I'm interested. I said, yes, I am, because holding on to that word, arise, shine, this is your time. So I wasn't caring about any other person anymore. I just said, you know what? When you resume, just go do whatever you can do for me. This is some money. Do a change of course for me, and let's see how God leads on. So she went and she met some the people, the dean of faculty and all of that, and God granted her favor, and they were able to do it for me, change the course, because I have the requirement to get in for that course. But the requirement to get in for that economics is the one that I do not always get, because the cutoff is always high. Yeah. You understand? So I couldn't, but I have the requirement to get in for that performing art, which I can do my music. Okay, so she did it, and my name came out. So when my name came out, I went there, made inquiries about the registration, everything, and then I came back home, raised the money myself, because I know that's where they will stand in my way and say, no, we don't have money for that kind of music thing. Maybe when you get a better course, we'll provide the money. So I raised the money myself. I told them that, look, I've been given this course, performing art, and I'm going for it this time. They said, well, blah, blah, blah. Well, I just took my bags. I went. They didn't. Later they realized that this guy is determined, and he's just gone. I mean, he's just determined to go this way. So when I finished my first semester, I came back home. They said, oh, we have been finding out about this theater performing. They said, performing that thing. They say it's children of no future ambition that are doing it, and all these on serious gestures. I said, hey, really? Okay. I took my bag second semester. So it was after the first section, when I finished the first year, they said, well, if that is what God wants you to do, we see that you are determined and you are happier doing it and all that. I said, yeah, all I need is your support. This thing I found, I just need your prayer and support. And since then, they began to support me. And that is how I was able to train, get the degree, and to the glory of God, I became the best in my class overall, music, dance, and drama. So if you see me dance, or if you see me acting, know where the story is from now. Okay, so not only about music. All right, so currently we're actually doing a show now. We're on stage now running The Gods Are Not to Blame in Kenneth Moore Theatre in Ilford. Yeah, I also came to the UK to do my MA in music, my master's in music, and I've since settled here to music production, directing, and all of that.